Geese are actually helping the environment by fertilizing the ground, I guess. Everybody here? No, we got some. The Navy.
This Critter Davis going to show us how to make a boat.
Oh, see, Dave. I appreciate that. That's a hell of a job, though. We all in? Everybody here? All right, guys. My name's Steve Davis. For those of you that don't know me, I've been working with Dave for 5 or 6 years now or something. He tolerates me pretty decently. So what we're going to talk about today is building a boat. This is a boat. You're all looking at me like that's not much of a boat. Actually, the Korean Navy, North Korean Navy's buying these up faster than they can make them. So, I'm sorry. Did I mention I'm very politically incorrect? Okay. So anyways, why do we need to know how to build a boat? Okay. Well, we might need to cross some water, what have you. The history of the bull boat, or a coracle, it was called a bull boat because generally it was covered with the hide of one bull buffalo. And it was used for who knows how long, pre-contact by the Plains Indians clear out west. It was used in Europe. It was called a coracle in Europe. It's still used today. They make them a little nicer than, you know, what we're going to make one, but we're going to make it bushcraft style. Now, building a boat, has anybody ever tried to make a dugout canoe or anything like that? Anybody? No. It took me a week to make one, and it was little and really heavy, and I can make this in about 2 hours, start to finish. From gathering material to on the water, 2 hours. That ain't bad for a boat that generally will float. So, what we want to make this out of is saplings that are flexible, because we got to obviously bend this to a shape. The best thing to make this out of is willows, if you have willows. I use maples because that's what I have, and they're pretty resilient and flexible. So we need to gather the material to build this boat first. We need, obviously, the framework, some kind of cordage to lash it together, and then something relatively water resistant to skin it with. Just plain canvas will work for, you know, you pull over every half an hour, dump the water out of it, go again. It's, you know, not that big a deal. So, you know, most people look at this and think, man, that's some spindly lumber to be making a boat out of, right? Because that's like the size of my thumb, maybe a little bit bigger. It's the shape and geometry and the way this is fastened together that makes it strong. That's not too bad for a couple little sticks, right? So, alright, what we want to pick is stuff that's small and flexible. This is obviously not a maple tree, but it's what I can scavenge. Size of my thumb. Pretty flexible. The species doesn't matter. It's the properties of the wood that matters. Okay? So, we're going to have to get a lot of these together. As you can see, it takes quite a number of pieces. And something to cover it with. Today we're going to cover it with a $3 Walmart tarp. I know that's going to make some of you really question my sanity when I shove you out on that lake on a $3 Walmart tarp and a pile of sticks. So, but I promise you, you probably won't drown. So,
wow.
What I want to talk about
Probably.
first is some axe skills. Okay, the way you got to process a lot of sticks here. And there's a right way and a wrong way, and ways that kind of work. What you want to do when you cut these is cut them at the base and leave 6 inches of stump sticking up in the ground. That'll give your friends something to trip over, and they'll also almost all the time grow right back out. I got tons of maples in my woods, places you can't walk through maple trees. I cut them off that high, they always come right back, sometimes the same year. I cut a maple. I don't know if some of you seen a video. I made this perch type bird trap, you know. I cut this maple off, moved it to where I wanted it, stuck it in the ground. The next year is 4 foot taller, had leaves coming off of it, and the weight's still hanging on it. It's still an operational trap and regrowed. You know, so the deforestation thing, you know, don't do it in a state park because it's a $500 tree here. So, but anyways, what we want to do to to skin this is the fast, efficient, and safe way. I'm going to put this tree behind me, okay? I'm going to work with my axe behind me. Working this way on the outside of this, turn so everybody can see. Working with this behind me, if I glance off, the axe is going away. If it comes out of my hand, it's going behind me. We always got to be safe with this axe. See the hair popping off there? That's how sharp your axe should be. Okay? What we're going to do is all these little nubs, we're just going to work it around. Take all them off. Like this. When we get down to the part where it's getting too thin to be usable, brace it against your leg, and at about a 45-degree angle, just cut it off. Now, you cannot keep up with me on a saw when I got this axe doing this. It's impossible. I mean, not trying to brag, but you just can't do it. So, we process this piece down. Now, you notice I work from the bottom up towards the top of the tree, right? Okay, let's look at how this branch come off. This branch is on this tree. Okay. Actually, I think that's where it came from. If we cut from the top down, we're going to make it start peeling. Okay, it's going to peel down. When we're going to bend these, if we compromise that sapwood, we're going to make a hinge. Anybody that's ever built a bow knows what a hinge is. It's very frustrating. It's a weak spot in the wood, and that's where it's going to break. So we cut from the bottom up, we come off with it, and it cuts off clean, and we're not compromising that wood, okay? This stuff flush. Everybody understand why we're doing that way? Now, before we start making any of these pieces, we got to find out if this wood's flexible enough to do this. We can't just bend that piece. We got to start bending it slowly and slowly and slowly. And I'm not sure of the flexibility of this. What we want to do is just kind of coax it into it. When you start stepping on this, like this piece, it wants to bend that way. If I'm stepping on it the wrong direction, it'll correct me. It'll spin around and bend the way it wants to go. Let it bend the way it wants to go. You got a lot less chances of breaking it. So I'm going to go through all my pieces and do that. Just kind of loosen them up and work them on down. There's a hinge just going to start cracking. Just do it slow. You don't have to do it in a big hurry. See, that's real stiff, but if I do it slow, kind of work it. Ooh. I can about bend to 90 in there before it starts cracking. Just going slow, let it come back up, do it again. Then if you got pieces that don't want to bend, you know to go get some more material and do it again, or just cut that piece off. Use it for a short piece. So we got all our materials gathered, skinned. Start pre-bending them, weed out the junk we don't want. Then we got to decide what we're going to cover this with. Now traditionally a bull buffalo hide would have been used. It's pretty big, and I actually did have a bull buffalo hide lined up to do this with. The guy wanted $100 for it, and the hide would have been ruined afterwards, and I just wasn't willing to spend $100 on y'all. So,
thanks a lot.
Anyways, we're going to use a tarp, okay? The problem with using tarps for it is it's not a bull buffalo hide. A bull buffalo hide is tough. I don't know if any of you guys ever messed with like raw green hides or not, but they are unbelievably strong. So, we get our covering, whatever we're going to use. We're going to lay it out. This is how we're going to decide how big to build this boat.